Listen, in 1962, they said we will remove prayer from schools, and we let them. And we didn't even put up a fight. In 73, Roe v. Wade, they said human life doesn't matter. Then they said, we're going to take your businesses and we're going to shut them down. We're going to take your schools and we're going to shut them down. We're going to say if you don't take a jab, you can't go to college, you can't work. And listen, that stops right here, right now with you. You are the key. You have always been the key. It's not just the people on this stage, it's you. That's why this country was built and run by we the people.
Americans are spending $430 million more every day on gasoline.
We are looking for answers. We're pissed off, lost, seeking truth and unbiased information. We want to make our country safe again. We are passionately holding on to our freedom. We want to defend our nation. Here is the antidote to powerlessness. Constructive, not destructive. Welcome to Mad as Hell University.
Welcome, defenders, to Mad as Hell University, where we give you constructive tools instead of destructive fears. I'm your host, Raj Doraisamy. I came to the United States in 1986. I left 3 countries to get here. What I saw in Ethiopia, where I was born, Zambia, and then Zimbabwe, is unfortunately where the United States is heading today. I don't want that. I know you don't want that. We want to save our country. If you do not face your anger with wisdom, you will not find a strategy to overcome the problem. This is what we do at Mad as Hell University. This week, we're giving you the tools you need to make informed health decisions about the COVID vaccines. But first, a shout out to our sponsors who made this program possible. On September 9th, 2021, Mr. Biden signed an executive order mandating vaccines for COVID-19. This is not the law. It may not even be constitutional. Last week, Attorney Jeff Childers told us about the case Jacobson versus Massachusetts.
So starting about 6 months ago, or maybe longer, the media started running stories about this case. And it's this antique case from 1905 where the Supreme Court said that Massachusetts law requiring its citizens to get smallpox injections during outbreaks or get a $5 fine was okay. All right. So the Supreme Court blessed that. And so, starting, maybe a year ago, the media was running articles about this case and how it was a mandate killer, right? I mean, it would just support any mandate the government wanted to do, even though it's, 140 years old. Even though at the time it was only applicable during smallpox outbreaks, which is like a huge killer. And there was only a $5 fine, and the smallpox vaccine had been around since the 1700s, and it was well known and safe. So anyway, a lot of lawyers got scared of this case, this Jacobson case, and in different places, like in Texas, there's this Methodist hospital case where a federal judge upheld the hospital's vaccine mandate and cited the Jacobson case. And so everybody was terrified of it, but they don't understand what the case really says. And that's what we used in our template. We used, instead of running from Jacobson, we embraced Jacobson. Because what Jacobson says, and granted that language is a little archaic, right? It's not these and thous or anything, but it's pretty dense. And what it really says is the Supreme Court said, hey, the federal Constitution doesn't say anything about vaccine mandates. So you have to look to the law of the individual state.
In Jacobson versus Massachusetts, the case was decided in favor of individual state rights. But the smallpox vaccine was 95% effective. Studies show that you wouldn't have needed a booster shot for 5 years. Partial immunity of the smallpox vaccine lasted 10 years. No monthly smallpox booster shots there. Take that, COVID. And the syringe is not going in your arm. Bill Mitchell from Your Voice Network News just broke a story that the United Kingdom is looking to be the first country to make COVID an endemic, not just a pandemic. Ending COVID. Wow, that sounds right, right? Well, that's not what endemic means. Endemic means, according to dictionary.com, it's an adjective. That means natural to, native to, confined to, or widespread within a population of people. In other words, suck it up and line up with your arms up, Buttercup. Annual mandatory vaccines coming right up for the entire population. But what does the science say? We'll tackle that when we come back. And we're back. This is Mad as Hell University giving you constructive, not destructive information and action steps. We're not just another rant fest. I'm your host, Raj Doraisamy. With the peoples of the world demanding answers from unresponsive governments, we need to ask, what does the science say? And I mean the real science, not this mixed up dog's breakfast full of contradictions that comes out of mainstream social media sources. You know, the ones that sound like toddlers. Well, here it is, the real science. 10 Israeli scientists within the Israeli Research Institute's Maccabitek published a preprint study on natural immunity versus the COVID vaccine. And what did the study say? The study's conclusion was, and I quote, "This study demonstrated that natural immunity confers longer lasting and stronger protection against infection, symptomatic diseases, and hospitalization caused by the Delta variant of the SARS-CoV disease. Compared that to the BNT162b2 two-dose vaccine induced immunity. In plain English, your human body is pretty darn awesome and statistically, according to this study, can kick COVID-19 and its Delta variant without any vaccine and better than a vaccine. With this new information, it seems to me that the CDC and federal government aren't really following the science. They would prefer propaganda and paranoia, and you know what? The last time we listened to paranoia and propaganda, you know what happened? Nazi Germany attempted to take over Europe. And then we had the Holocaust. 85 million people died in the Second World War, and that includes the Nazi death camps. Current COVID deaths as of November 9th, 2021 are roughly 5,054,000 across a population of 8 billion. And that's a big number, but I ask you, what is costlier? Paranoid propaganda without the freedom of choice, or the COVID virus? I would prefer the freedom of choice. And Dr. Simone Gold's organization, America's Frontline Doctors, is fighting that battle. In America's Frontline Doctors Vaccine Bill of Rights, Dr. Simone Gold quotes the Nuremberg Code. Why would she quote the Nuremberg Code? Because the Nuremberg Code forbids human experimentation. It comes from the Nazi war crime trials. It's international law. Do you hear me, illegitimate dictators of the world? International law. Your typical timeline for a vaccine includes up to 15 years of research and multiple rounds of trials to get it right before it's given to the general public. The first COVID vaccine was given to the public in December of 2020. Lockdowns were declared in the USA during March of 2020. That's only months, folks. Months for research and development. What does that mean? It means, just follow the math, follow the numbers. It means the COVID vaccine was a rush job. It's an experiment, and we, the people, are the laboratory animals. I'm human. I've got a right to say no. You're human. You've got a right to say no. In fact, say it with me. No. I can't hear you. Say it with me. No. You're going to have to post that no to the vaccines on social media. Trust me, it's effective. You won't even need someone to hold your beer. There's a magnificent burst of courage when we all stand together. And those powering the oppression and narratives of fear need to see it. By saying no and empowering others with our courage to speak up, that will help us switch gears and reverse the curse of COVID and leave this chaos in the dust. 3 steps coming up. Step number 1, stand up and say no. Step number 2, for those of you receiving pressure, hold the line. All of our veterans know how important it is to hold the line and then at the right moment, rush over the top towards a victory. At the time of this taping, it's Veterans Day weekend. Thank a veteran. Remember their sacrifice and their courage. Stand with those men and women who, due to their positions in the government, may not be able to say as much as they'd like to. Many of them don't want the vaccines either. The vaccine issue is a hill worth dying on, folks, because the early reports are showing that if you don't fight the vaccine, there's an increased risk not only of blood clots, which can lead to heart attacks and stroke, but an increased risk of tyranny with the side of dictatorship. Step 3, sign and share the Vaccine Bill of Rights. What am I talking about? Listen up. Go to America's Frontline Doctors website, see where it says sign up in the top right corner. Next to that, there's a drop-down menu. Click Citizens, click the Vaccine Bill of Rights, print it, sign it, speak to your employers, send it to your senators and representatives, share it, post it, paint the town with it. And if you want, bring it to Thanksgiving dinner. There's even a button on America's Frontline Doctors website to help you spread the word and make your voice heard. How do you do that? Look for the alert button, click the alert button. You'll be taken to votersvoice.net automatically. From there, you can write, tweet, or call your state senator or representative automatically. There's even a script, a sample letter available. You don't even have to think about what to say other than say no. America's Frontline Doctors is also looking for volunteers and would appreciate your donations as they continue to advocate and provide alternative medications that are saving lives. Mad as Hell University, constructive, not destructive. Please support our sponsors and join us in the cause of freedom. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, veterans. And a recap of the action steps are coming up in 3, 2, 1.